about something that's not necessarily something that we like to talk about, but we should. And it's pain management. Unfortunately, in the United States, 1 in 5 people experience chronic pain in any given year. And I am a yoga therapist, a certified yoga therapist, and I have been doing yoga most of my life. And I came to yoga as a very young person. I was probably an adolescent or a teen. And the reason why was because I had chronic pain. I had chronic back pain, which is one of the most common forms of pain. And back pain, chronic back pain, is also one of the most debilitating forms of pain. And one of the main reasons why people have to miss work is because of back pain. And so I had chronic back pain from the time I was very young. Additionally, I had digestive disorders, which were very painful. And again, I'm talking about when I was a kid, when I was an adolescent. And as a result, very young in my life, I found breath work, meditation, and certain aspects of physical yoga to be beneficial for both digestion and for the back pain. And that's why I wrote the book that I wrote, From the Boxing Ring to the Ashram, Wisdom for the Mind, Body, and Spirit. Because I recognize that too many people are experiencing pain when in reality, there are ways to alleviate or to ease the pain. And unfortunately, a lot of times that pain is not just or necessarily physical. I believe that almost all pain has an emotional component. In my instance, for the digestive pain, for example, I know I was diagnosed and I was told that it was all stress-induced pain that I was experiencing. My back, that's structural, that's musculoskeletal. But if you're feeling pain, you're not going to be happy, and that is going to affect, of course, your livelihood. It's going to affect your family life. It's going to affect your social life. It's going to affect your work life. And when all that is not as it should be, when your life is not at its peak, then you're just going to get more and more kind of going down the rabbit hole of being less healthy. And that's why, to me, it is so important that everyone has the capacity to be their healthiest and their happiest. And in From the Boxing Ring to the Ashram, I provide a lot of tips. September, by the way, is Pain Awareness Month, but for those in pain, they know that pain is every single day, usually. And our society in the United States in particular, we have an opioid epidemic. Unfortunately, for far too long, the medical profession has been prescribing opioids for pain. However, there are other ways to combat pain, and the Centers for Disease Control, the CDC, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, they did come out with a statement saying that the medical profession needs to prescribe other forms, including holistic health practices like acupuncture or mind-body practices like yoga, before they prescribe opioids. But unfortunately, there are far too many people that are addicted to the opioids, and also too many overdoses from opioids. What most people don't know is that there are really simple things that you can do to ease the pain. And one of the chapters in my book is all about laughter as medicine. And my guru, my book is based on life lessons from a dozen of my gurus around the world. And the chapter that deals with life lesson, with laughter as medicine, has a fascinating story of someone who I have known since 1987 or 1988. the person was taking so many different kinds of meds, and they did so many different physical interventions, surgical interventions, and none of them really helped. And finally, when the person found laughter therapy or laughter as medicine, it was a miracle. And Norman Cousins, back in, I don't know if it was the 1960s, but a long time ago, he relayed his personal experience with laughter as medicine or laughter as therapy. And he talked about how the excruciating pain that he was in, and again, none of the painkillers could help him, but he found that a good dose of solid laughter would alleviate the pain for, I don't remember if he said for 2 hours, but there was a specific time frame where after his laughter, he was without the pain, and nothing else was able to alleviate the pain. So one of my chapters in the book, From the Boxing Ring to the Ashram, is all about laughter as medicine. Another chapter in the book features the person who I think is the most knowledgeable when it comes to medicine and yoga. He has researched for maybe 30 years different types of back pain in particular, and how specific yoga poses can counteract that. And it's fascinating. I highly recommend it. It is also very important to know, and to know, of course, what your diagnosis is, because one recommendation for one person based on their diagnosis may be something completely opposite for another person. And as a yoga therapist, I deal with that all the time. So I know, for example, that if someone has spinal stenosis, what they should or shouldn't do is completely opposite of someone, for example, with osteoporosis. You have to have the approval from your medical doctor or your specialist before you do any of the tips in my book. But I just want to say, I believe we have to look at different ways to alleviate pain. And unfortunately, the medical profession typically isolates pain as physical. So the whole concept of giving you an opioid is to cut down, it's like to block the pain. But what is the cause of the pain? Many times the cause of the pain is some kind of a trauma. Sometimes you can alleviate that through, of course, physical therapy or yoga therapy or whatever, and then so much of it is emotional. So that is basically all that I wanted to talk about today. And I would love to know your comments. Anybody who has experienced alleviation of pain through laughter or through meditation. For me, meditation was what I needed to do for my digestive disorders, and physical postures to strengthen my core were what I needed for my back pain. As I said, it's always going to be something different, which is why you need to have guidance. And that is what I try to do as a certified yoga therapist. But regardless, there are many things that are not going to harm you that you need to try, such as laughter, or one of the chapters in my book is all about gratitude. And it's actually the boxer who talks all about gratitude. And if you can imagine, a boxer obviously was the object of trauma after trauma after trauma. There are very simple, inexpensive, free things that you can do in as little as 10 minutes a day to ease your pains, whether they are physical, emotional, or spiritual. And again, they're all intertwined. So please check out my book. And when you see my book, or when you hear about my book, I'm sure that there are so many people you know and love and care about who are experiencing chronic pain. So please forward it to them, or better yet, gift them a copy of my book, From the Boxing Ring to the Ashram, Wisdom for Mind, Body, and Spirit.